been thinking about something today, and I've been thinking about it maybe more in the last year, and it has to do with things we go through, like whether that's, and I think this applies to everyone, by the way, um, because no matter who you are, everybody has been through something tough, and regardless of what it is, it's those tough things um, that I think make you who you are in one capacity or another. They difficult circumstances tend to have the capacity to change someone more than, let's say, success does. Granted, success is nice because it builds success builds on success, and um, you can learn a lot that way too. But failure is a very good teacher. Um, Failure or difficulty is a very good teacher. I'm not talking about I'm not talking about awful things that happen to people, truly awful things. I'm not talking about that. Um, but even those things, truly awful things that happen to people that they had no control over, can change a person in a positive way. And I've been thinking about this in the context of like childhoods and marriages, relationships in general. Um, and a lot of people tend to have a tendency or a I don't know what the right word is, but we naturally tend to focus on the negative, and we can we can go into a victim mindset about those things, and that's, I believe, the enemy's way to keep us from growing. So something happens, and we go into this mindset of, why did that happen to me? You know, what's wrong with me? What did I? I always do the wrong thing. Um, my life's not fair. You go into this victim mentality, or you go into this mentality of blaming someone else for whatever it is you went through. And while that can be partially true, people can do awful things to us and hurt us, etc. That can be true. The responsibility is always on us to take whatever that was and learn from whatever we can from it and make good of it. And the truth is, it's only us that can do it. We are the only ones who can make something good out of something bad that happened to us. We can choose to go into bitterness. We can choose to play the victim. We can choose to take no responsibility. Or we can look at what our part in this said breakdown was, whatever it might be. And I've been thinking about how that impacts our entire lives. Um, because if we get in that victim mentality rut, that is a rut. And we can stay there. Some people stay there their entire lives, or some people stay there, 3 years to 10 years to 20 years. And it's a destroying spirit, like a victim mentality or a victim spirit. It just destroys you. You cannot, because you cannot grow from it, because you cannot learn from it because you're always blaming someone else. So you stay stuck. Ask me how I know. But on the flip side of that, you can look at any situation that you've ever been in. Whether it was your fault that it happened, or partially your fault, or all of someone else's fault, it doesn't really make any difference. It's like, how can I cause this to make me grow, to be a better person, to do better? How can I use this for good? There's a really good, this is kind of an obvious example of this, would be Joseph in the Bible, or Job. You could use either one. But, Joseph, when he was a young boy, he had these dreams about what was going to happen later in his life. And he was young, so he was probably prideful, if you would imagine, right? And he was daddy's favorite, so that didn't help anything. And the brothers were envious. And so, he ends up separated from his family as an Egyptian slave. And everybody knows the story, but spends, 12 years in jail, gets accused of things he didn't do. And so you could look at his life and you could say, well, none of that was his fault, which it probably wasn't. You could say none of that was his fault, so he had a right to be angry, to be resentful, to hold a grudge. He had a right. But if he had done that, how the story wouldn't have turned out the same at all. So what he chose to do instead was he chose to be thankful in his situation, even in jail. And I think I know how he did that. Because if you are in such a low place, such a bad place, like the worst thing happened to you that you could possibly imagine, there's nowhere to go from the depths but up. So he had nowhere to go but up. So, and he maybe did spend some years when he was in jail. He maybe did spend some years in resentment and anger. And it would have been understandable. The Bible doesn't talk about that, but in the end, he chose to focus on the good. And he ended up saving Egypt, saving Israel, the Israelite people, for a number of years, and earned his place in the scripture. So anyway, I've just been thinking about all of that and how that pertains to our own lives and what we can do each day to better our circumstances by focusing on the good, whatever it is. Whether that's someone taking you to court for whatever reason, or having a good attitude at work, having a good attitude about the hard things that happen to you, and choosing to learn and grow from them and make the best of it instead of the opposite. And I have done it wrong a lot of my life, so I feel like I do have a right to talk about this, because I've been on the wrong side of the fence, so to speak. But no matter who you are or what you've been through, you can make a change today and choose today to focus on the good, be thankful. And Apostle Paul talks about that a lot. And I made a post recently on Facebook about this too, how important it is. I found out personally for myself how important it is, because I literally used thankfulness to dig myself out of my own grave, if you will. So, yeah, be thankful, focus on the positive, and have an awesome day. Love you guys. Bye.